Hello everyone, this is Shrikante and today we are going to dive into the science behind habits, specifically how habit loops work and how they influence our everyday behavior. Now, habits shape our routines, decisions, and even our emotional well being. Now, by understanding how they are formed and sustained, we can learn how to take control of them and create a more positive and lasting change. Let's get started. Now, this is the foundation of how habits work, the habit loop. It's made up of three parts. Firstly, the trigger, or also known as the cue, is what starts the habit. For example, like feeling stressed or seeing your phone light up. Now, secondly, the routine. Now, the routine is the action that you take in response, like scrolling through social media or eating junk food. And last but not the least, the reward. The reward is the payoff, which means temporary relief or pleasure or a distraction. Now, this cycle becomes ingrained in the brain over time. Now, understanding each element is the first step towards identifying habits and reshaping them. And once you know the trigger and the reward, you can begin to replace the routine with something more beneficial. Now, bad habits often persist because of one simple reason, which are short term rewards. Now, when we know something isn't good for us, the constant gratification it provides can be hard to resist. For example, choosing a burger over salad may feel satisfying in a moment, but it's working against your long term health goals. Now, the brain tends to prioritize immediate pleasure over delayed benefits. And that's why bad habits are difficult to break because we are wired to seek the fastest form of relief or satisfaction. Now, recognizing this internal struggle between the long term goals and the short term pleasure is the key to change. Now, this was the example that I was talking about. Now, opting for a burger instead of a salad can lead to unhealthy choices, which reinforces bad habits, which impacts your overall well-being and goals, and that is true. Now, habits are not just patterns of behavior, they're physically embedded in our brain through our neural pathways. Now, every time we repeat an action, that pathway becomes stronger, which makes the behavior easier and more automatic the next time. Now, dopamine, also known as the brain's reward chemical, reinforces this process. Now, when a routine gives us a pleasure or satisfaction, the dopamine gets released, which strengthens the habit loop. Now, that is why habits, especially the bad ones, are so hard to break. Now, the brain has essentially created a shortcut. So, basically, the more we repeat a behavior, the deeper it becomes wired into our system. Now, to break bad habits, we need to outsmart our brain by changing the structure of the habit loop. First, reframe the reward. Now, instead of seeing the benefit in instant gratification, connect the new habit with something more meaningful, like feeling proud of your discipline or seeing long-term health improvements. Next, identifying the triggers. Now, what emotions or environments or times of the day lead to the behavior? Now, awareness is powerful, so once you see the pattern, you can disrupt it. And finally, create new routines. If stress triggers snacking, replace it with a healthier habit like deep breathing, journaling, or even taking a walk. Now, with a repetition, the brain will start to favor the new pattern. Now, Now, understanding the routine of exercise. Now, exercise is one of the most powerful examples of a positive habit loop. Now, the routine might be physically demanding at first, but over time, the reward, like the boosted energy, it gives boosted energy, improved mood, and even better sleep, which becomes a strong motivator. Now, exercise builds discipline, supports the mental health, and also helps you develop consistency in other areas of life. Now, when practiced regularly, it reinforces the idea that effort pays off, and which is the core principle of a habit change. Now, obviously, not all habit loops are physical. Some are emotional, like how we respond to stress, anxiety, or boredom. Now, meditation is a habit that helps us break reactive emotional cycles. Now, when practiced regularly, meditation improves focus and promotes emotional stability. Now, over time, your brain begins to associate the act of pausing and breathing with relief, which creates a healthier emotional response loop. Now, this is a powerful example of using intentional habits to support mental clarity and emotional well-being. Now, even our thoughts can also become habitual. Now, nostalgia, the act of recalling pleasant memories, can trigger emotional responses and even influence behaviors. Now, obviously, when used mindfully, nostalgia can become a powerful tool. For example, remembering a time you felt confident or connected can boost your mood and motivation. Now, if left unchecked, it can also lead to escapism or romanticizing the past at the expense of the present. Now, obviously, understanding how these mental habit loops work gives us the ability to use them very intentionally now to also lift ourselves up rather than getting stuck in patterns of avoidance. And yeah, this brings me to the end of the video. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye.